an MRI machine spins out of control, sucking in a metal wheelchair and crushing a boy within seconds. On a rooftop, shattered glass hidden in an iced drink slices a throat open moments after sipping. In a tattoo parlor, a nose ring chain tightens violently, pulling the artist into a ceiling fan, sparks and screams exploding. This isn't a nightmare. It's real. It's near. It's death disguised in everyday design. 14 years later, Final Destination returns with Bloodlines, not just a sequel, but a genetic reckoning. This film doesn't just revisit the formula of escape and be hunted. It rewrites the rulebook. Death isn't after survivors, it's erasing a family tree. This time, we're not running from fate. We're questioning its origin. And here lies the chilling mystery. If our lives began with someone else cheating death, are we living miracles or mistakes? In the next chapters, we'll peel back the layers of this most thematically ambitious installment yet, uncovering how the film's visual design, narrative structure, and symbolic echoes construct a 50-year net of inevitability. To truly understand Bloodlines, we must rewind to the ending of Final Destination 5, where the twist involving Flight 180 shocked audiences, and more importantly, closed the time loop. But in doing so, it left behind a creative itch. What if death doesn't target individuals, but family bloodlines? That single question took on new relevance in the uncertainty of the 2020s. Directors Zach Lipovsky and Adam B. Stein aren't traditional horror directors. Their work in Freaks showed a mastery of stories where families are stalked by forces beyond their control. When offered this project, they didn't come to repeat formulas. They came to ask something deeper. Are we the ones dying, or just paying off ancestral debt? Writers Guy Busick and Laurie Evans-Taylor, both of Scream and Ready or Not fame, are known for injecting social commentary into genre structures. With Bloodlines, they took the franchise's skeleton and injected new DNA. Themes of inherited trauma, generational guilt, and fate coded into blood. One of the biggest shifts happened early in development. Stephanie, the protagonist, was initially just another death dream girl. But at the director's insistence, she became a bloodline target, no longer a lone survivor, but a node in a cursed legacy. That tweak opened the story's entire philosophical scope. Another bold move? The return of William Bloodworth, once a cryptic cameo, now potentially a tragic cipher. Writers reportedly expanded his backstory, raising the question, is he Death's servant or just another pawn? There were production battles too, especially around ratings. The infamous nose ring and ceiling fan kill was originally more graphic, but toned down to pass MPAA scrutiny. Ironically, that restraint made the scene more terrifying, with viewers imagining what wasn't shown. Final Destination, Bloodlines isn't just another sequel, it's a narrative reset. Every creative choice, from character evolution to visual psychology, echoes the film's core question. If death is hunting us now, who started the cycle we're paying for? In Final Destination, Bloodlines, death isn't just a number on a coroner's report, it's a cinematic ritual. Directors Zach Lipovsky and Adam B. Stein craft each death with surgical precision, transforming violence into visual fate. Their approach? Controlled composition, symbolic color, and psychological tension wrapped in tightly wound imagery. The trailer hints at 3 distinct visual strategies. Small Orange Diamond 1. Premonition through close-up chaos. A broken glass shard drifting inside an iced drink. It's subtle, mundane, yet ominous. Stephanie's nightmares focus on these micro-moments, forcing viewers to hyper-focus. Close-ups shallow depth of field, and slow dolly shots trap us in her perspective. We're not just watching, we're sensing. Waiting. Powerless. Small Orange Diamond 2. Framing as trap. Every death zone, from MRI rooms to tattoo stations, is meticulously framed. Spaces feel like Rube Goldberg machines waiting to go off. Wires. Metal. Hinges. Every frame screams fragility, in order. It reflects a 21st century anxiety. What if our tightly wound world only takes one fault to unravel? Small Orange Diamond 3. Colors of Doom. The palette tells its own story. Cold tones dominate Stephanie's hometown, gray-blue hues whispering of loss and inherited sadness. But as death nears, red slips into the frame, reflected in windows, blinking on machines, glowing from behind. It's not loud. It's a quiet siren. On character arcs, Bloodlines does something rare. It reframes the survivor as a participant in a larger curse. Stephanie isn't just a final girl. She's the heir of a pact she never signed. William Bloodworth returns, less of a narrator, more of a reluctant prophet. He knows something, maybe everything, but his silence is chilling. Is he protecting people? Or protecting himself? Then there's Iris, the grandmother. Split into young and old versions, she embodies the loop. Her past survival didn't save anyone. It cursed the bloodline. Her presence adds a moral wrinkle. If you live at the cost of future deaths, is survival still innocent? Symbolism runs deep. Circles, tires, fans, MRI rings, revolving doors appear constantly. These aren't just props. They're visual whispers of time loops and cursed lineage. You may not notice them at first, but they're always there. Watching. Bloodlines isn't just filmed, it's engineered. Every frame is a trap. Every color a warning. Every death a signature. And fate, it's the silent director of them all. Time is a flat circle. A line made famous by True Detective and in Final Destination, Bloodlines, it's more than a theme, it's a narrative engine. Lipovsky and Stein don't just use flashbacks or dream sequences. Instead, they construct the entire movie as a looping prophecy. What feels like a forward-moving plot is actually a recalibration of fate. The mirrored shots, recurring dialogue patterns, and eerily familiar settings all suggest that this isn't a chase, it's a correction. In other words, the film's structure isn't just telling the story, it's part of the horror. Unlike previous entries where directors like David R. Ellis and James Wong favored event-driven plots, disaster deaths, escape attempts, Bloodlines flips the formula. Here, the sequence itself becomes the villain. Each character's choice feels intentional, and yet entirely useless. This reframing pushes the film from action horror towards psychological terror, raising a larger question. Are we really choosing? Or are we simply watching our decisions simulate choice? Critics are divided. Some call this the franchise's most intelligent entry since the FD5 twist. The idea that the grandmother's survival cursed the bloodline is hailed as a new metaphysical layer. Others complain that the film demands too much prior knowledge. It's not a sequel, it's a closed-door fan convention on fatalism, one critic quipped. And then there's the debate around Bloodworth. Is he Death's prophet? Or is he the only human in the system with memory? The directors refuse to clarify, which makes him either the key to the entire mythology or a red herring to deepen the dread. Interestingly, most death scenes in Bloodlines are built around waiting. Not immediate chaos, but slow, intricate chains of cause and effect. This pacing borrows more from Japanese horror, where dread builds not from jump scares, but from delayed inevitability. Bloodlines doesn't tell you a story. It traps you in one. Because maybe deep down, we all know we're going to die. But what really haunts us is believing we might have escaped. What makes Final Destination, Bloodlines truly terrifying isn't its gore. It's the fact that its terror feels possible. This film doesn't just ask, how do we die? It asks, what if the world we live in is a machine preparing to kill us? From MRI magnets pulling in wheelchairs, to fans yanking nose rings, to glass-infused beverages, these aren't just horror fabrications. They're dramatized from real-life incidents. Writers compiled hundreds of actual accidents, selecting the most mundane yet deadly ones to highlight the fragility of modern life. Suddenly, the premonition moments in the film aren't fantastical, they're hyper-awareness of system failure. We live in a world of routines, codes, algorithms, machines. And every process, every device, is one bug away from becoming a weapon. That's why the films spark a viral trend, #FinalDestinationMoment. On TikTok and YouTube Shorts, users reenact or recount their own near-death experiences, from sparking plugs to stair rail snaps to soda can explosions. It's not just dark humor. It's micro-resistance, a way to laugh at the absurdity of modern fragility. Academia noticed too. Harvard and UCLA studies cited the franchise's ability to tap into existential helplessness. In a post-pandemic, AI-anxious, economically unstable world, audiences don't fear ghosts. They fear losing control, and Bloodlines hits that nerve. And it's not just symbolic. In 2011, after Final Destination 5 went viral, the UK launched a national inspection of public pool drainage systems. In 2024, U.S. states began reviewing emergency protocols for household architecture after social media death simulations trended. Film Projector 3 recommended companion films, perfect for your channel style. The Report, 2019, explores how systems hide their own rot, perfect for extending your theme of invisible architecture of control. Mad World, 2016. A raw portrait of mental illness and family collapse. Connects well to your takes on inherited trauma and systemic breakdown. 22, 2015. A haunting documentary on intergenerational trauma. Mirrors Bloodline's core thesis. Some curses aren't supernatural, they're historical. We were just lucky to dodge one death. When Stephanie whispers that line in the final scene, it doesn't sound heroic. It sounds resigned. As if even she knows, this isn't survival, it's a delayed transaction. Final Destination Bloodlines doesn't treat death as chaos. It presents it as debt collection, precise, procedural, inevitable. You live not because you beat the system, but because the system's timer hasn't hit zero. Yet. And that raises a brutal question. Puzzle piece, what if we erase the grandmother's escape? Would the movie even work? If death doesn't hunt by blood, then what explains this chain? That's not just a screenwriter's game. It's a question about what humans truly control, and how much of our lives are just scheduled illusions. Drop a single emoji in the comments to tell us how you felt. Fire equals terrified by fate. Brain equals mind blown by structure. Face screaming in fear equals glued to your seat in dread. And don't forget to like, save, and subscribe. In the next episode, we'll decode another movie that pretends to be fun, until you see the dark architecture underneath.